5:08. Let's see if that rain is impacting the roads this early morning. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with all the answers, here's Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. We've suddenly had a lot of activity here in the last 30 or 40 minutes. There is a crash in the South Loop involving several vehicles, Canal and Harrison. There are delays on northbound I-55 due to road work. Weber to past Veterans Parkway. 2 right lanes are closed. That should be clearing up here shortly. 8094 eastbound at Torrance Avenue. There's a crash in the left lane. Car and a semi. Report of a ruptured fuel tank. And there's a crash on the southbound Stony Island feeder heading to the inbound Bishop Ford. There's a rollover there. Expressways and tollways elsewhere look pretty good. The Kennedy had a lot of road work downtown. It's clearing up, and the express lanes are opening up inbound. Traffic service of Westin Hotels and Resorts. At Westin Hotels and Resorts, they offer a menu of delicious superfoods. Why? It's not because they give you actual superpowers. So you can rise above travel's disruptions and stay in control of your well-being. Eat well with the Superfoods RX menu. Westin, let's rise. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Jim, thank you. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
High wind watch in effect late tonight through tomorrow afternoon with wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Lakeshore flood warning in effect from 4 a.m. tomorrow until 1 a.m. Friday. Increasingly windy with periods of rain today, high 45, then rain mixing with and changing to snow tonight with a low 35. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
And don't be scared of the snow. We get it every spring. 44 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Military Mortgage Talk with host Tony Gatliff. Sunday mornings at 9 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We're coming to you live this morning from Big Monster Toys in the West Loop in Chicago.
How do I hear monster and I go, monster, monster. And there's a monster in the door.
Well, this is part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour, and how cool is this place?
I mean, this is where God's gifts are created. These are where toys are made, okay? What is not to love about this place?
So it's interesting. I thought Big Monster Toys was redundant, but of course I was wrong. It's not, because they make monsters that are big, like this, 15-foot giraffe right behind you. We'll have to take pictures, or maybe Facebook Live if you if you will allow us to use Facebook Live, Amy.
Great.
I know you want it banned, but
No, yeah, right.
We'll have to video this. They got trains running. They got
Just don't shoot me.
They make all the toys that they turn around and license to the big toy companies like Hasbro and Mattel and so forth.
Okay.
But they've been involved in the Toy Story movie, and the characters that are popular from Toy Story movie is
Sully.
Woody.
Woody? Oh, yeah.
Woody and
yeah,
Buzz.
and
Yeah.
all of those cats.
I-
But
I-
I'm going to tweet out, there's a great picture. They also have a train car here. That says Big Monster Toys on it. I came in this morning. There Dan was in the Widow Choo-Choo train making some coffee.
With my conductor hat on. And that's it.
So cute.
Wow.
So I'm going to tweet that out. But, I mean, they've been here 14 years, and before this, they're at Chicago Avenue and Racine, so not too far from here.
So this is fun. And a guy who's
Sam.
representing Sam, who's representing Big Monster Toys, for our purposes, we're going to talk to at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. Little known fact, and we'll get the backstory.
What?
He was part of the Benny the Bull entourage for a time over at the stadium, or the United Center now.
Nice.
Yeah, so interesting cats. I'd love to work here, but I don't have any creative aptitude, so that would
I
probably
think you'd be a
knock
great
me out.
toy maker. You can go in the little corner over there and make your toys.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just heavenly in here, and I really wish I could have brought my boys
No, it's just
to
fun.
work. Bring your boys to work today.
Well, yesterday was Election Day.
yes,
It was. I know many people didn't participate, but enough did to deliver some rather interesting results. Roger Clare, the longtime mayor of Bolingbrook, held on.
Oh, that was a close one.
He held on against a challenge from a Democrat that was backed by all of the Democrat panjan drums in Illinois, J.B. Pritzker showed up to help, and Daniel Biss, all the candidates running for governor. They put a lot of resources into Roger Clare because they wanted to make that a litmus test for Trump support in Illinois. Roger Clare had been a Trump supporter, Trump delegate, and so they made the whole mayoral campaign about Donald Trump, and Roger Clare survived.
And thank goodness he did, because it was a nationwide. I mean, this little town in Bolingbrook, Illinois, got national attention.
New York Times piece.
Yeah, because he held a fundraising event, or not a fundraising event, but just an event for Donald Trump at Bolingbrook Golf Club.
Yeah.
I mean,
Where
everybody
we
got their
also-
panties in a bunch. Like, oh, my God, Donald Trump's here. And I remember it was raining that day, so they only had a smattering of protesters, 10, 12 protesters. That was it. It was not a big deal. But to make a whole case against Roger Clare because of that is ridiculous.
Well, we have our golf outing there, and I think the fact that Roger Clare also brought you to Bolingbrook Golf Club
I think it's more you than me.
helped him maintain his mayoralty. Also in Aurora, the second most populous city in Illinois, Richard Irvin, longtime alderman there, and becomes the first African-American mayor of Aurora, and he's a Republican too.
Oh my gosh, the world is coming to an end. What are we going to do? What happened in Markham, where there's a guy with misdemeanor conviction and also running against a convicted felon?
Yeah, well,
where Kim Foxx said, well, if either of you win, you're not going to be taking the position of mayor.
Some places are making less progress than others. I'll concede the point. Orland Park, this is a race we talked about a lot. I was involved through the PAC that I run, independent of this station in my life as private citizen, Dan Proft.
What happened? I've been waiting.
Dan McLaughlin went down. Keith Pekow won the election, ending a 24-year reign by Dan McLaughlin. And remember, this was, and the reason I got involved, my PAC did, and other organizations with which I'm allied, is because this was a microcosm of everything that's wrong with Illinois. This is, again, for those outside of Orland Park who haven't caught our discussions on topic about that community and what the outgoing now mayor did. By the way, we'll have the mayor-elect Keith Peek on the show at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. But he increased his salary by 375% in October of last year to increase his pension from $30,000 to $110,000. So that's a $2 million pension present value. He was property tax cheat. He had violated Illinois law by claiming 2 homeowners exemptions on both his home in Orland Park as well as his condo on Michigan Avenue in Chicago, and while raising the property tax levy in Orland Park by 56% over the last decade and substantially increasing that community's debt. And it was one of those things where it's all the bad practices of ruling class Pauls who think they're completely insulated from their constituency. And the families of Orland Park struck back yesterday, and good for them.
Vote totals were?
Yeah,
Because I didn't click on because I wanted you to tell me who won the Orland Park mayoral race.
I think that the spread was ultimately like 54-46. So it was it's a tough race to take out a 24-year incumbent, but Pekow ended up winning going away, and it was clearly a referendum on McLaughlin and what he had done to try and enrich himself on the way out the door at everybody else's expense. People are tired of it, and it's one of those things that gives you some encouragement that things can change in Illinois. You had what happened in Algonquin Township in February. So just in 2 months and 2 elections, we've been a part of ending 75 years of dynastic kleptocratic rule in just those 2 communities. Wow. And then you've got Irvin turning a new page, opening a new chapter in the history of the city of Aurora, which is beset by all kinds of problems, mainly financial, but
and in Waukegan,
but opportunity-related as well.
Waukegan, Sam Cunningham won. He's their first African-American mayor. So that's different for Waukegan. I don't know, were you involved in that race at all?
No, it was not.
But one thing I was kind of disappointed by, District 211, Palatine Township, they 3 parents tried to take over part of the school board because of the transgender bathroom issue, and those 3 went down last night.
Well, this is the
But it was their first race for some of them, so, at least they got involved and tried to do something about it and run for school board.
Well, correct. And it's tough to take out those that are backed by the institutional gatekeepers of these local units of government. It's a difficult thing because, the teachers' unions and the administrators try to put their finger on the scale for those that are their protectors. those that are really their toadies on these school boards. They have captured school board members, and they want to protect them. So they actually are the fiduciaries at these school districts rather than the duly elected members of the school board, for example. But in other cases where the people get to speak directly, like referendums,
Yeah.
a lot of referendums went down. Went down in Hinsdale, went down in Wheaton-Warrenville School District 200.
What about Skokie, Evanston Skokie?
Well, I mean, that's,
It's
of course that passed. It is Evanston and Skokie.
well, but the mayor, their first openly gay mayor now, his name is Mark Tendam. He believed in, that the suburb was becoming too expensive and promised affordable housing, and then he goes and he supported the referendum.
Of course, and affordable housing, too.
Right. I mean, it was a little bit of an oxymoron.
Which just means low-income housing,
Right.
which just means subsidized housing, which means I hate my property values.
Exactly.
And, yeah, well, so, I mean, look, there are communities that are going to be, that are a long time coming, I should say that there is a long time coming before they change their trajectory because, look, you're in Evanston. I mean, everybody in Evanston has the Marx Engels reader on their nightstand. So I mean, that is
There's a few
very
Republicans.
tough.
Few by I mean two.
Yeah, there's some Republicans there, but it's very tough sledding, and so those communities aren't going to change overnight. But you see what's possible when you have good candidates step into the breach and provide an alternative, frankly, conservative reform vision. That's what Pekow did in Roland Park. That's what Andrew Gosser did in the Algonquin Township Highway Department race. That's what a lot of other candidates have done. Maine Township, too. Republicans across the board, including at the Park District level, school board level, township level. New Trier Township, the North Shore, a la Evanston Skokie, has a long way to go to be reminiscent of anything that it used to be 20 or 30 years ago. But all in all, and we'll get to other local races a bit later, all in all, a pretty good night if you are looking for rays of hope that Illinois can be turned around, canaries in the coal mine that may portend for the 18 elections. Some pretty good results last night, some pretty hopeful results. Dan and Amy coming to you live from Big Monster Toys in the West Loop, part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, just one of those yucky days, that's for sure. We're going to have rain on and off throughout the day. It will be cooler, a high of 45 degrees. Tonight, the rain is going to turn into snow, folks. We can have anywhere from a dusting to a half of an inch of snow. And tomorrow, very windy, wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour, snow and rain at times in the morning. Roads will be wet, and we're going to have a high of 46 degrees. But on Friday, things will get better, but we'll discuss that later. And for now, let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Roads are wet right now, and looks like we're going to have a challenging morning commute. There are some delays on northbound I-55 from Weber Road to past Veterans Parkway. That's due to some earlier road work. It's now being picked up. The Edens and the Kennedy are fine. Express lanes have opened inbound on the Kennedy. The Eisenhower is still good. Inbound Ryan, got a 2-minute delay from 18th into downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both with 2 to 3 minute delays approaching the merge. Tollways are okay. Eastbound 80-94 Torrance, it's a crash in the left lane. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show each morning. Video content, podcasts for our Illinois Rising program, which covers state of Illinois politics and policy, like those local races we were just discussing, as well as against the current long-form interviews this week featuring former American Conservative Union and NRA boss David Keene, as well as Follow the Logic Man on the Street segments this week featuring interviews of UIC students about higher ed funding in Illinois. It's really something to watch. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Don't miss the annual Outdoor Power Sale at Ace, our biggest outdoor power sale of the season. Save big on mowers, blowers, trimmers, chainsaws, and more from the best brands like Craftsman and Toro, all under one roof. And as always, the help is free. Hurry into your local Ace now for huge savings during our biggest outdoor power sale of the year. Offers valid on select products through April 17th at participating stores. Includes instant savings offers for Ace Rewards members. See store for details.
At Mattress Firm, we admit we have lots of sales, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity so big, even we're impressed. Save up to 70% off famous name brands. Plus, take up to $2,000 off floor models from Sealy, Tempur-Pedic, and others. Everything must go to make room for the next generation of sleep products. So don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sleep and save like never before. Only at Mattress Firm. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/circulars. Product offer and prices may vary in Hawaii.
AM 560, The Answer. Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity. Right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy coming to you live from Big Monster Toys in the West Loop, Chicago's West Loop, part of our AM 560 business tour presented by Signature Bank.
And have you seen how cute? They gave us these two items. They printed them out on the 3D printer, and they're little blocks, the letter blocks with Dan and Amy on it and AM 560 with a monster holding it up. We got to tweet this out. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's cool.
And you even like it.
3D.
So then it is really cool if you like it.
3D printed.
Yeah, it took 2 hours to print it, but this is amazing technology.
All right, we got to get to Susan Rice here. She gave an exclusive to Mrs. Alan Greenspan yesterday to respond to the story that was broke by Eli Lake over at Bloomberg about her involvement in unmasking Trump campaign operatives, associates, the implication that there was the possibility of using the state and the surveillance state for political purposes to surveil political opponents, and perhaps at the behest of Susan Rice. She addressed that straight away with Andrea Mitchell on MSNBC yesterday. Or did she? I guess we're having trouble with the audio, as per usual. So here's the thing. She basically said that I leaked nothing to nobody, which is a double negative, negating the denial and confirming that she did, in fact, leak and she should be in prison, Amy.
Well, did you believe her? I mean, she said that she did not unmask anyone for political reasons, which means that maybe she unmasked someone. She looked a little jumpy to me. I don't trust her because she lied about Benghazi and people's lives. People lost their lives in Benghazi, obviously, but that trust has been broken and it will never get back. So anything that comes out of her mouth, I think, is a complete lie.
Well,
she should be ashamed of herself.
Let's see if we can effort here Rice again here in her own words.
Did you seek the names of people involved to unmask the names of people involved in the Trump transition, the Trump campaign, people surrounding the president-elect?
Let me be clear.
In order to spy on them, in order to expose them?
Absolutely not for any political purposes to spy, expose anything. But
Did you leak the name of Mike Flynn?
I leaked nothing to nobody, and never have and never would.
So
nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
You can get that?
She's going real street there. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. Do you believe Susan Rice and her very specific denials of the allegations, or at least the questions that are being raised? She also was quick to distinguish unmasking with leaking.
I can't get into any specific reports. I don't know what Devin Nunes reviewed at the White House. What I can say is that there is an established process for senior national security officials to ask for the identity of U.S. persons in these reports. Get beyond that, Andrea, is to disclose classified information, and those people who are doing that are doing something very wrong.
So she straight away denied the leaking of Flynn's name or the leaking of any classified information. She did not deny, though she did not confirm, whether or not she was involved in unmasking names that were Trump associates. This is where it gets a bit murky because of the nature of not being able to, one, be specific about particular reports or particular intercepts or particular unmasking requests. So she more described the process throughout the rest of the interview than gave anything in terms of definitive comment one way or the other. Other than this was, I thought, an important point where she if you take her at her word, which of course I don't. But it's still interesting what she's saying because it puts her on the record. She's talking about Russian interference and what was going on in the White House in the closing months of the campaign, where, according to Susan Rice, the pace picked up in terms of concern about Russian interference into the presidential election.
Were there more instances where at the tail end of the administration that you felt you had to make those requests to follow up on the raw data you were looking at?
Andrea, I really can't be particular about the pace because understand that over 8 years, for me and others who served, it was not uncommon. In fact, it was necessary at times to make those requests to find out the identity of U.S. officials on every topic under the sun when it seemed relevant. I don't have a particular recollection of doing that more frequently after the election, for example, than doing so before.
Was there a particular focus on Russia because of the conversations with the Russian ambassador, because of the expulsion, around the time of the expulsion, December 26th, the decision to sanction Russia and expel a large number of alleged spies or diplomats?
Well, Andrea, from basically August through the end of the administration, we were hearing more and more, getting more and more information about Russian interference in our electoral process.
But importantly, she goes on to say to the big question, if you will, was there any specific Trump-focused surveillance for the purpose of monitoring Donald Trump or associates?
Andrea, I don't want to talk about any individuals. I spent hours with Michael Flynn during the transition, as was my responsibility, to try to provide him and other members of the Trump transition team with the best possible briefings I could as to what they needed to do to hit the ground running. We had very civil and cordial interactions, and he conducted himself professionally, and I did the same. So I don't want to get into concern about any particular individuals. Again, I think that would be crossing a line.
Did you know at the time that he was an unregistered agent for the Turkish government?
No.
When did you learn that?
In the press, as everybody else did.
All right, we'll pick up the Susan Rice discussion after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
A good parking lot is essential to a good building and a good business.
This is Kevin Berquist. My company is SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. Great parking lots. The name says it all. We make your parking lot great. We are an industry leader in seal coating. You can trust our company to do the work for your company. We have the same traditional values as you. We use a process and application that makes sure you get a great job that lasts a long time. I guarantee you'll have a good experience. Go to our website, GreatParkingLots.com. Check it out, GreatParkingLots.com.
Go to GreatParkingLots.com. Schedule a free inspection and get a quote to make your parking lot a great parking lot. Save the expense. Fix, don't replace. Contact SKC Construction now for commercial parking lot seal coating and maintenance. SKC Construction, home of GreatParkingLots.com. GreatParkingLots.com.
If you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, your dental health. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You hear a lot of people screaming at you about dental implants. Get it done in a day, or we can treat everybody, or hundreds of thousands of implants. Look, successful implants don't come from an implant factory. What you don't hear talked about is skill, treatment, and installation. These are what make for successful lifelong implants. And that's why you need to see Dr. Norouzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Norouzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants. You need the experience, skill, and honesty that 24 years of dental implants brings.
This is Dr. Norouzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics, 630-232-7400, 630-232-7400, or just remember, implantsforme.com, implantsforme.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, more from the interview between Andrea Mitchell and Susan Rice, and how CNN tried to instruct viewers to ignore the story. But first, let's go into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Somalia's police say a car bomb blast this morning has hit a restaurant near the Youth and Sports Ministry in Mogadishu, the capital. Police captain says the bomb was detonated. There's an unknown number of injuries and perhaps deaths near that restaurant. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says the U.S. has spoken enough about North Korea in reaction to the latest missile launch there. The State Department issued a terse response. The Americans' top diplomat acknowledging yet another launch and saying there are no further comments. Susan Rice claims the intelligence that she gathered was used, that intelligence gathered was used for political purposes. She claims that those words are absolutely false.
Absolutely not for any political purposes, to spy, expose anything. I leaked nothing to nobody and never have and never would. In
an exclusive interview on MSNBC, the former Obama administration national security advisor claimed she's never leaked any classified information. She does say it's possible the Trump administration team was picked up in incidental surveillance. Russia's top investigative body says 6 have been arrested in St. Petersburg on suspicion of aiding terrorist activities. A Syrian monitoring group says the death toll from a chemical attack the previous day has now increased to 72 as activists report renewed airstrikes in nearby towns. Italy has summoned the Swiss ambassador for urgent talks after Switzerland closes down 3 secondary border crossings at night. It's an apparent crime-fighting measure. Italy's northern border has long been a flashpoint with Switzerland, France, and Austria. They are keen to prevent newly arrived immigrants from transferring north. Longtime Bolingbrook Mayor Roger Clark will be returning for another term as of early this morning. The incumbent held a mayoral lead over challenger Jacqueline Trenier, with all 32 precincts reporting. Prosecutors say at least 4 Chicago boys who streamed the sexual assault of a 15-year-old girl live on Facebook threatened the victim with a dog if she tried to flee. During a hearing Tuesday, assistant state's attorneys say the 14-year-old charged in the case was told the victim she could have, quote, sex the easy way or the hard way. The judge in that case also ordered a 15-year-old boy held in that case. Chicago Teachers Union President Karen Lewis says they will not be staging a one-day strike on May 1st. Indiana officials say U.S. EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt will visit a lead-contaminated Superfund site in East Chicago later this month. Cubs 2-1 winners over the Cardinals. Opening day for the White Sox and Tigers, and the Tigers were winners 6-3 over the Southsiders. Avalanche beat the Blackhawks last night. Bulls fell to the Knicks. And the news, a service of NTB. Get a 5-quart conventional oil change today, just $19.99 plus $3 disposal fee for tires, oil service, and repairs. National Tire and Battery. That's all you need. 5:36 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Start your day on the right track and take Metra. Metra's 95% on-time dependability helps you get where you're going on time, no matter what's happening on the roads. Visit metrorail.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And like after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
The new challenge will allow you to receive 2 months of Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies free. And we'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life, but I should have ordered it like 15 years ago.
Hey, are you thinking about the IRS right now? Man, if the IRS is coming after you, your problem, your IRS problem is there day and night. You need help. to fight the IRS. I recommend you call my very good friend, Attorney Stephen Leahy of Open Tax Resolutions. Hey, he's got a special offer going on right now. If you're not certain about your position with the IRS, he will pull your personal IRS transcripts and find out exactly where you stand for free. Find out where you stand. If you owe back taxes, if you have unfiled returns. Hey, if you're afraid of the IRS, call my friend Steve Leahy now. 312-664-6649. Steve's the host of the IRS Radio Hour, heard every Sunday at 5 right here on AM 560. He's also a really good friend of mine, and I don't know of anybody better in dealing with the IRS. Call him now. Steve Leahy, 312-664-6649. That's 312-664-6649.
538, a check of the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Eisenhower has delays. 25th Avenue to Des Plaines Avenue. 31 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 30. The Edens and the Kennedy are wet, but otherwise okay. The Stevenson, 38 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 40. Got a rollover SUV at Harlem. Causing delays starting at Central. The Ryan, 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 24 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Tollways are okay. And traffic is a service of Illinois Partners for Clean Air. Avoid traffic by riding public transit and roll comfortably into town for a concert, contemporary dining, or both with the money you'll save. Learn to breathe easy and save easy with Illinois Partners for Clean Air at cleantheair.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Increasingly windy today, periods of rain, and much cooler, high only of 43. Windy, rainy, 38 overnight. Currently, we have 44 degrees at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We're coming to you live from Big Monster Toys in Chicago's West Loop, part of our AM 560 business tour presented by Signature Bank, and we're having fun here. This is cool. I mean, how can you not have fun when you're sitting in the shadow of a 20-foot giraffe?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I checked it. He won it at Great America in the ring toss game.
Yeah, right.
But it's bolted down, so it's not going to fall over on you or anything. But this is great. 25 people work here, and they're toy makers. And everybody's cubicle is so interesting. I feel like I'm kind of spying on them. I'm not touching on anything, but looking at the new toys of the future.
They've got a train that runs around the office space, too, where each car was designed by different members of the staff to kind of get used to the machinery that's used and to put their own creative stamp on the train, on the choo-choo train.
Right, but they make, and there's a picture I tweeted out of you in the choo-choo.
Right, my conductor hat.
Your conductor.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Reliving the last vestiges of my youth.
So once they come up with an idea, then they sell it to Mattel and other
licensed
agencies. But we'll speak with the owner, and this place is just great. Maybe we can do live remotes here every day.
I would love it. I would love it, especially since it's 10 minutes from where I live. So here's the thing. We're talking about Susan Rice and her response to the firestorm surrounding her yesterday. And then there were responses to the response, and responses both to Eli Lake's story in Bloomberg News about her potential involvement in political surveillance of the Trump campaign, which she denied. And we don't have evidence to confirm, but there certainly are a lot of questions to be asked and answered. And that's what Rand Paul was focused on when he joined those two dingbats on Morning Joe yesterday.
I believe Susan Rice abused this system, and she did it for political purposes. She needs to be brought in and questioned under oath.
Okay, you believe that, but none of us here, including Senator, with all due respect, know that. So let's just be very careful
ask
here.
Her under oath.
And I'm not defending Susan Rice. I'm not at all.
Ask her whether President Obama ordered this or whether he knew about it. That is a big deal if the outgoing administration was actually literally sifting through things. And part of his administration already said, we were going to scatter, we were going to get as much information, we were going to scatter it out there publicly to try to harm the Trump administration.
So does Rand Paul have a point? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, 646-368, turnkey.pro, text line, and more importantly, not just in terms of the questions he's asking on a news talk program, but the demand that he makes that Susan Rice be brought before Congress to testify. Is that appropriate? I think so. Meanwhile, you've got all of the left-leaning cable news networks trying to run interference for Susan Rice.
Oh, they're trying to take a stand. I mean, CNN for 2 nights now has been instructing viewers to ignore stories about Susan Rice. And my girlfriend, Don Lemon, was leading the charge.
So let us be very clear about this. There is no evidence whatsoever that the Trump team surveilled or was spied on illegally. There is no evidence that backs up the president's original claim. And on this program tonight, we will not insult your intelligence by pretending otherwise, nor will we aid and abet the people who are trying to misinform you, the American people, by creating a diversion. Not going to do it.
Yeah, this is all a diversion. So here's the thing. I always go back to standards. Okay, so the standard for darling little Don Lemon is if we don't have evidence, then we're not going to report questionable conduct. We're not going to ask questions about stories like the Bloomberg News story yesterday with respect to Susan Rice.
Which is a joke when you think about what he did with the Malaysian airline that was missing. I mean, he there was no fact, there was no evidence of anything. But
right,
yet he went on for days with these crazy theories of what could have happened.
Well, asking important questions like, is it possible that MH370 disappeared into a black hole? To which an aviation expert told him, well, if that would have happened, the Earth would have collapsed in upon itself, so I don't think that happened. Those are the kind of probing questions you get from Don Lemon.
The same man.
But the standard is, if we don't have evidence to substantiate something, then we don't even raise the issue. We don't ask the questions. Okay. So, I'm sorry, what evidence does Don Lemon have of Trump's collusion with the Russians? Have they covered that story? Obsessively, I'd say. So, this is obviously Don Lemon, and he's hardly alone, running interference for Susan Rice and for the left, because they are men and women of the left. And if you think that's jarring, listening to Don Lemon attempt to summit the moral high ground, you ain't heard nothing yet. Listen to Mr. Tingle, Chris Matthews, and David Korn.
Oh, no.
Run interference on the topic.
Susan Rice is the typhoid Mary of the Obama.
Here's Chris Matthews.
They're looking for a piñata. Yeah. They found one in Susan Rice. I do think.
Notice it's always a female.
That's also true. Yeah. No, that's also true.
Who cares if she was a former NSA director? Who cares if she's green, purple, black, white, male, female, transgender?
I'm so glad you brought that up because Chris Matthews raised an important point that she's only being attacked because she's a female. And this is an important point for, the moonbats like Chris Matthews. David Korn from Mother Jones doubled down on that.
They're looking for a piñata.
Yeah.
That's the same clip. Okay. Well, David Korn from Mother Jones doubled down and said perhaps it has something to do with the fact she's a woman. Perhaps it has something to do with the fact that she's a black woman.
Oh, the race has nothing to do with this. She was in a position of power, and I think she abused her power to spy on a man who was going to replace her. And during the interview, Andrea Mitchell asked again about General Mike Flynn, and did she leak anything?
Now the allegation is that you were responsible for leaking the fact that Mike Flynn had talked to Ambassador Kislyak and perhaps to others. Is there any truth to that?
I can't get into any specific reports. I don't know what Devin Nunes reviewed at the White House. What I can say is that there is an established process for senior national security officials to ask for the identity of.
I think she's running around the issue. She's not answering the question.
So, yes, that's true. Right. We've got Susan Rice versus Susan Rice. Susan Rice yesterday with Mrs. Greenspan versus Susan Rice 2 weeks earlier on PBS with Judy Woodruff. And then we have the curious case of MSNBC and CNN running interference for Susan Rice on this topic, trying to resume the focus where it belongs, which, of course, is on Trump and everybody associated with him going to prison. I'm not kidding. Joaquin Castro was on Don Lemon's network with Wolf Blitzer yesterday. Joaquin Castro is one of those twin Castro brothers who
Right.
both look like Bond villains.
Yeah, and they're trying to elevate them because they're Hispanic males and they need somebody on the bench.
They look like he should be petting a cat when they're doing interviews. Joaquin Castro had this to say to Wolf Blitzer, trying to maintain focus where the Democrats want it, which is on the imprisonment of Trump people.
Well, there's certainly, as all Americans have seen by now, quite a lot of smoke. The investigation is to determine whether there's a fire or not.
Well, have you seen any hard evidence of collusion yet?
I guess I would say this, that my impression is I wouldn't be surprised after all of this is said and done that some people end up in jail.
It's a big statement, big statement, especially when you don't want to substantiate with any evidence. And Wolf Blitzer tried to get additional clarification from Joaquin Castro on just to make sure he understood what he was saying.
At this point, you're confident that at least some Trump associates will wind up in jail,
If I was betting, I would say yes.
including some who are working in the new administration, or people who worked or advised the president during the campaign and maybe during the transition.
As you can imagine, Wolf, I'll have to comment on that later. But again, if somebody asked me my impression, my impression is that people will probably be charged, and I think people will probably go to jail.
Yeah,
His
Joaquin Castro
impression
does.
or is his opinion?
Well, Joaquin Castro does terrible impressions, that's for sure. He's no Rich Little. So here's the thing. On the one hand, you have this story with Susan Rice at the center of it that raises legitimate questions of Watergate-era political surveillance of opponents. And so in order to try and move people back to the story that you want them to focus on, not only do you have to have your handmaidens on MSNBC and CNN do some of your bidding, you also have to have Democrat flacks like Joaquin Castro, who has the credential of being on the House Intel Committee, come out and make outlandish claims that even Adam Schiff, a Democrat from Area 51, who's the ranking member of the committee, has not come close to saying. And frankly, Adam Schiff has been awfully silent over the last 72 hours, including into yesterday when the story broke. Dan and Amy coming to you live from Big Monster Toys in the West Loop, part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Today's IT department is more than just a person fixing your computer problem or finding a lost file. It's helping people, and that's what Turnkey IT does. Real people helping your business.
Hello, my name is Phil. I am a network technician at Turnkey IT. I'll help customers with any issues that they have on their computer, whether it be from a program isn't working, or they can't print to a printer, or they can't scan. Like for me anyways, personally, I try to relate to people like, they're having an issue. I want to help them. It's my job, but I also understand where they come from. They need something to work, and that's where I come in. I go and I make it work for them, whatever it takes to keep them happy. I enjoy helping people, and Turnkey is all about helping and being open, being like a family.
Get a fresh start this spring with Turnkey's All-In program, and you could receive all new hardware. Expires April 30th. Restrictions apply. Change the relationship you have with your IT department. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Hey, spring is here, the birds, the bees, and seasonal allergies, unfortunately. And the last thing you need is a pillow you're allergic to. And yes, MyPillow is hypoallergenic. A good night's sleep is so important to all of our health. So for April, you'll receive the 50% discount on the MyPillow 4-pack. That's 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. And with MyPillow, you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. I can't wait to rest my head on a MyPillow every night. You'll get into deep sleep faster and stay there longer. No more waking up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in the good old US of A up there in Minnesota. So you can wash and dry your MyPillow, and they have dog beds, which are made out of the same patented fill. And, of course, you'll get that 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. What do you have to lose? Order your MyPillow today. Go to MyPillow.com. Type Amy in the promo code. 2 premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, all for the price of 1. Or Call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201.
Message and data rates may apply.
If you're considering going back to school, ask yourself the following questions. Do you need the flexibility to take classes on your schedule? Do you have college credits you need transferred? Do you want to earn a quality degree from a world-renowned university? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Arizona State University is the perfect school for you. Arizona State University offers over 100 highly ranked degree programs 100% online. You'll earn the same degree as you would on campus from wherever you are, on your schedule. Plus, ASU Online accepts most transfer credits. For information, text DEGREE to 35517. Learn for yourself why the Wall Street Journal ranks ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates, and why 88% of ASU grads are recruited within 90 days of graduation. Learn to grow, learn to succeed, and learn to thrive at Arizona State University. To learn more about ASU online degrees, text DEGREE to 35517. That's DEGREE to 35517.
Did you know that if you have mutual funds in your IRA, 401k, or investment accounts, that according to Forbes magazine, you could be paying as much as 3.17% in hidden fees every single year? 3.17% may not sound like much, but over 10 years, it's costing you 32%, whether your fund is up or down. Hi, it's Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group in Chicago and host of the Alpha Wealth Hour on AM 560. This is just one of the reasons I hate mutual funds, and you should too. You may not know this, but you have far more investment options today without the excessive fees. Learn what they are in my free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds. What you learn may shock you. To get your free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds, call 630-519-4742. There's no obligation. That's 630-519-4742.
Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
Christianity arose out of first-century Judaism. The earliest Jewish believers in Jerusalem, however, would have trouble recognizing modern, traditional Christianity as its offspring. In a new book entitled Reviving the Reformation, a Jewish believer peers backward to move biblical truth forward. Author Daniel Lang attempts to recover the real first-century Messianic faith that's been lost to the modern world. Reviving the Reformation explains why the man Yeshua, Jesus, satisfies the expectations of the Messianic hope and describes the ideal relationship that should occur between Jews and Gentiles who seek out the same biblical God. It reestablishes the Torah as the instruction manual for righteous living and probes the doctrine of the Trinity. With biblical faith fading fast in Western culture, now is the time to restore the truth by reviving the Reformation. For information about this important new book, go to revivingthereformation.com. That's revivingthereformation.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dave Geiselhart, president and owner of Home Trust Mortgage and customer of Signature Bank. When the large banks turned away from the mortgage lending industry during the financial crisis, I turned to locally owned Signature Bank. Signature Bank stepped in and helped me expand our business at a time when the larger banks wouldn't. Today, I'm proud to say Home Trust Mortgage has been able to expand our business in Illinois and the Great Lakes region. We couldn't have done that without the help of Signature Bank. Signature Bank truly helps Chicago businesses like mine grow and thrive. That's why we also became personal customers and shareholders of Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
5:57. Let's get an update on the roads this morning. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with the very latest, here's Jim.
Like a number of crashes, one in Carroll Stream lies at Gary Avenue. Stevenson outbound jammed past Cicero to Harlem with a rollover SUV. Two left lanes are blocked. 50 minutes. Lakeshore Drive to 355. Inbound, it's 47 minutes. Edens is okay. The Kennedy, 22 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 20. The Eisenhower, 35 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 30. Ryan, 23 minutes. 95th to downtown. I-57, 25 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 30. Traffic service at Staples. HP Savings Month at Staples. It's big savings on great HP products all month long. Now buy one HP ink and get the second at 40% off and experience the outstanding print quality of HP ink. Ends 4/8. Restrictions apply. See staples.com/HP month. Staples. Make more happen. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues after a full update from Fox News. But first, your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. The latest with our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
High wind watch in effect late tonight through tomorrow afternoon, and a lakeshore flood warning in effect early tomorrow morning until 1 a.m. on Friday. Increasingly windy with periods of rain today, high of 45. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
The news, a service of Westin Hotels and Resorts. At Westin Hotels and Resorts, they offer running gear to their guests. Why? Well, not to help you race to catch your flight, so you can pack less and work out more while on the road, because they know what a runaround travel can be. Westin Workout Gear Lending. Westin, let's rise. 5:59, here are the stories we're following on AM 560, The Answer this morning. Longtime Bolingbrook Mayor Roger Clark returning for another term. As of early this morning, the incumbent holding a lead over challenger Jacqueline Trenier during a voting yesterday. Some suburban Chicago school board members who approved a policy allowing a transgender student to use the locker room of the sex that student identified with survived an election challenge mounted by angry parents. A man faces murder charges in a shooting last week that killed 4 in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood, and the Chicago Teachers Union says they will not be staging a one-day strike on May 1st. Cubs beat the Cardinals, while the Tigers took down the White Sox on opening day. More Dan and Amy after Fox News, WIND, Chicago News Time 6.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. The Supreme Court issue has kept a Democrat up all night at the Senate.
The shameful, infuriating actions of the Senate Republicans won't be ignored in the history books.
Jeff Merkley's been talking for more than 12 hours now. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the senator from Oregon says he intends to speak as long as he can as Democrats plan to filibuster the nomination of Judge Neil Gorsuch. Senator Merkley called his court opinions
right wing, generally seeking to favor big business and other authority and harm the interests of workers.
Merkley and other Democrats are also still upset that President Obama's pick, Merrick Garland, never got a hearing. Republicans are expected to break the filibuster by exercising the so-called nuclear option, forcing a simple majority vote, and assuring Judge Gorsuch's confirmation. Dave.
Rachel, a victory in court for gay rights advocates. A federal appeals court rules the 1964 Civil Rights Act protects LGBT workers. In the case of an Indiana woman who claimed a community college wouldn't hire her full-time because she's a lesbian. This could end up at the Supreme Court, since a different federal court recently ruled employers are not prohibited from discriminating based on sexual orientation. The UN Security Council will hold an emergency meeting this morning on that suspected chemical attack on a Syrian town. A monitoring group now says at least 72 people were killed. It's been condemned worldwide.
White House spokesman Sean Spicer said a deadly gas attack in Syria carried out by forces loyal to Syrian President Bashar Assad is a consequence of former President Obama's approach to the country's civil war, and he said the U.S. remains limited in what its response to the attack should be.
There is not a fundamental option of regime change, as there has been in the past.
At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
6 arrests in Russia of suspects with possible terror ties 2 days after the Russian subway suicide bombing that left 14 people dead. North Korea's at it again, test launching another missile the day before President Trump meets with China's president. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Harvey owns a building and wants to save money by making his heating and cooling system more energy efficient.
Yes.
But Harvey's afraid of the cost and if he can get a return on his investment.
I am indeed.
Plus, he's nervous about disrupting the businesses that rent space in his building. Harvey doesn't know what to do with an HVAC system that's seen better days. The Air Comfort problem solvers to the rescue. Working as a team, the Air Comfort professionals find simple solutions that make a huge impact on building efficiency and operating costs with minimal or no disruptions to building operations. HVAC upgrades and retrofits from Air Comfort can save thousands of dollars per year. They save energy, reduce maintenance, and eliminate downtime. And buildings with better energy ratings command higher rents and selling prices and make tenants happy. Get real solutions from the Air Comfort team of problem solvers. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com and start saving money today. Air Comfort. providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Are you living with pain? So was Lisa, a brave Marine wounded in Iraq.
After surviving an explosion, I was on horrible painkillers. I tried 1-hour pain relief, and now I'm pain-free all day without dangerous side effects. And it works in less than 1 hour.
Try it free for 1 week and pay only the shipping with no automatic shipments. Call 800-600-1069 right now or visit onehourpainrelief.com. That's 800-600-1069. 800-600-1069.
In your business, you trust people who time and time again get the job done. At Indeed.com, we deliver 5 times more hires than any other job site, according to independent research. That's why over 3 million businesses use Indeed when they're hiring. Because getting the job done matters. Right now, we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job on the world's #1 job site. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Radio Garden Sense, a show bringing your property's gardening needs alive. Radio Garden Sense, Sunday mornings at 11 on AM 560 The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're coming to you live from Big Monster Toys in the West Loop.
This is great.
Part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour. We're reverting back to our childhood because we've got this cool space and these creative people that make all these toys, some of which are they've been involved in making iconic toys that you've seen in movies like Toy Story,
Woody
as well as you
and
probably
Buzz.
purchased.
Yeah, Woody and Buzz. Didn't you have a Woody and Buzz doll?
No, because I'm not
That.
I'm not 8, so no. But okay.
Yeah, but this is where magic is made. I mean, every toy designer has their own cubicle, and they try to come up with the next best thing, the next craze. But this space is gorgeous. We have a 20-foot giraffe.
I don't know. It's
above us,
something like that.
Something that somebody won in at the ring toss at Great America. I'm sure.
Yeah, I made 4 free throws in a row, and they picked that up. So you've got that. You've got a train that runs.
Turn around, you can see a train.
Runs around the workspace here that features different cars that different employees kind of designed and made. This is like what they do to familiarize employees with the machinery they use to do the toy design, as well as to put their own creative stamp on the place. It's quite something. And
this, we have to show people this.
Oh yeah, what they made, the
This
3D
is
printing.
A 3D printing, and it says Dan on one side, and then if you go this way, it says Amy. See that? And then on top, BMT for Big Monster Toys.
Yeah.
And our logo. So thank you so much to Sam, who we're going to speak to at 7:35 about this.
Yeah.
And the whole business.
And Sam Unsicker is also a former mascot, former toy himself, if you will. Benny the Bull.
Yeah.
He was one of the many iterations of Benny the Bull over the years.
Well, he spent most of his time in the blow up Benny the Bull.
Yeah,
you know, the one that
big
walked
one,
around
right.
that, that would fall and do some tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I think I gave him a hug at some point in time in
So,
my life.
these are a bunch of fun, creative people. It's like the negative composite of me. So it's interesting to be around these types. And also, importantly, they provided pastries and mimosas.
Yes, exactly.
So that should not go unnoticed and unremarked upon. See, there we go. Look at that. Look at the train.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to hop on the train.
Yeah. This show's off the rails, so continue with the train metaphor. All right, we've got to get to some business here. And the big story is Susan Rice. And Susan Rice was on with Mrs. Greenspan yesterday after appearing with Judy Woodruff on PBS about 2 weeks ago. Now, just to connect some dots here, here's what Susan Rice said when she was on with Judy Woodruff about things like unmasking, of which she knew nothing about.
I know nothing about this. I was surprised to see reports from Chairman Eunice on that count today.
Well, she must have been shocked then to see Eli Lake's report in Bloomberg News.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's
so much so that she had to try and defend herself or lie some more to the public and go on with Andrea Mitchell on MSNBC.
Well, here's what she said about leaking. We're not just talking about leaking. We're talking about unmasking and leaking. And really, this is all under the umbrella of, was the surveillance state used by the Obama administration to monitor political opponents for political purposes?
Did you seek the names of people involved in, to unmask the names of people involved in the Trump transition, the Trump campaign, people surrounding the president-elect?
Let me be clear.
In order to spy on them, in order to expose them?
Absolutely not for any political purposes, to spy, expose, anything. But
Did you leak the name of Mike Flynn?
I leaked nothing to nobody, and never have and never would.
I leaked nothing to nobody.
Right, and then she went on to talk about the process of unmasking a name that somebody like her, as the NSA, would perhaps move to do with whoever the person was that provided the initial report, for a better understanding of the importance of the report. If she had some legitimate questions about the individuals for the purposes of gaining a better handle on the intel that is being provided to her.
I can't get into any specific reports. I don't know what Devin Nunes reviewed at the White House. What I can say is that there is an established process for senior national security officials to ask for the identity of U.S. persons in these reports. To get beyond that, Andrea, is to disclose classified information, and those people who are doing that are doing something very wrong.
Yet later in the discussion, though, the problem that she has, and particularly keep in mind what she told Judy Woodruff about, she was a shock to learn about the unmasking of individuals. Later in the conversation with Andrea Mitchell, she talks about the possibility. She's not going to confirm anything because it's classified information and perhaps for other reasons. But she certainly talks about the possibility that Trump associates were incidentally surveilled, as well as the possibility that she requested those individuals' names to be disclosed or unmasked in the parlance of intel. So these possibilities exist now. She was shocked to learn about the prospect of this same thing 2 weeks ago.
I know. That's why I was so surprised. I mean, she's going back on national television and perpetuating this lie. I mean, dancing around the questions, you can tell she clearly, to me, looks nervous. If you watched the interview, she didn't seem comfortable at all. Her shoulders were up near her ears, and she looked like she wanted to get the hell out of there.
Well, and you've got not just, it's just like, oh, this is a right versus left thing. You've got the left on CNN and MSNBC flacking for her and trying to essentially.
Well, they're asking us to ignore the story about Susan Rice.
Yes, that's right. But for people that are actually have a background in the intelligence community and are not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy, I don't know, like Richard Haas, president of the Council on Foreign Relations, hardly a right-wing organization. Here's what he had to say yesterday.
It's not the role of the National Security Council. It would not have happened. So this is a legitimate now area of inquiry. I think it's the most you could say. This is something that needs to be looked into, because I can't imagine the circumstances, if this were to have taken place, where it ought to have taken place.
I can't imagine the circumstances, if this were to have taken place, where it would have been legitimate, essentially, to have taken place. This is a legitimate area of inquiry, says Richard Haas. Questions to be asked and answered, which is why Rand Paul and others have suggested that Susan Rice needs to be whistled before congressional committees. Andy McCarthy, we're going to talk to later in the show, I think at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. He writes in National Review today, and remember, Andy McCarthy is a former federal prosecutor, assistant U.S. attorney in New York, so someone who has some working knowledge of this space, not part of the intelligence community, but certainly working knowledge of space. And remember, we're talking about the FBI. Isn't that the part of the story that the left wants to continue to propagate is about the FBI investigation into Trump, that law enforcement action in the Trump campaign. And McCarthy writes, we've been told for weeks that any unmasking of people in Trump's circle that may have occurred had two innocent explanations: the FBI's investigation of Russian meddling in the election and the need to know, for the purposes of understanding the communications of foreign intelligence, foreign intelligence targets, the identities of Americans incidentally intercepted or mentioned. The unmasking, says Susan Rice, essentially, and other people, had nothing to do with targeting Trump or his people. That won't wash, writes McCarthy. In general, it's the FBI that conducts investigations that bear on American citizens suspected of committing crimes or acting as agents of foreign powers. In the matter of alleged Russian meddling, the investigative camp also includes the CIA and the NSA. All three agencies conducted a probe and issued a joint report in January. That was after Obama previously acknowledged that the Russian activity was inconsequential, and they made a great show of ordering an inquiry and issuing sanctions on his way out the door. So if the unmasking was relevant to the Russia investigation, it would have been done by those three agencies. And if it had been critical to know the identities of Americans caught up in other foreign intelligence efforts, the agencies that collect the information and conduct investigations would have unmasked it. So, the cover story that the Obama-Clinton left is trying to offer up to make, for example, the Susan Rice revelation go away or be dismissed as a misdirection play, it just doesn't hold up to scrutiny, and it doesn't hold up to the legitimate questions that need answers.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. And we fail to mention the fact that Susan Rice may have allegedly leaked or unmasked General Michael Flynn, a man who was replacing her as head of the NSA.
Well, she denied leaking. That was one of the only straightaway denials that she issued. She denied leaking any information, including the name of Michael Flynn.
Okay.
She said she never has and never will. I didn't leak nothing to nobody.
Yeah, but do you believe her, especially after Benghazi, when
I don't
she
believe
got on
it.
those 5 Sunday morning shows and lied about Americans and an ambassador who were brutally murdered? I don't trust anything that comes out of her mouth.
Well, and this is McCarthy's point. There was no intelligence need for Susan Rice to ask for the identities of Trump associates to be unmasked, right? She's talking
It's
about...
not a matter of national security. It's just for political gain or something.
Well, and if there had been a real need to reveal the identities, an intelligence need based on American interests, the unmasking would have been done by the investigating agencies.
Okay.
CIA, FBI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And particularly FBI. And that's not NSA's role. That's the point. NSC's role, National Security Advisor's role.
Okay.
She's not an investigative agency. That's the point. So it's a real problem for this cover story that she is offering and perhaps has concocted. Bruce in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Bruce.
Hello.
Hello, Bruce in Naperville. Do we have a phone problem to complement our audio problem? Okay. All right. Let's see if we can enlist somebody from Big Monster Toys here. So that's one piece of it. And then the other piece of it is what the left is trying to do to avoid having to address this. This is best summed up.
They're going to great lengths to make us know that we should ignore this story.
Yeah, the best example of this is Joaquin Castro yesterday on with Wolf Blitzer on CNN. After Don Lemon said, "Pay no attention to what's behind the curtain," Joaquin Castro went out to make this rather aggressive charge.
Well, there's certainly, as all Americans have seen by now, quite a lot of smoke. The investigation is to determine whether there's a fire or not.
Well, have you seen any hard evidence of collusion yet?
I guess I would say this, that my impression is I wouldn't be surprised after all of this is said and done that some people end up in jail.
So, on the one hand,
talk about a distractor.
But also, too, connect those two sentences. Where our job is to look to see if where there's smoke, there's fire. If,
right.
But there is going to be fire. I hope there's fire, and that's why I'm going to say I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying people are going to go to jail. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if Trump associates. I mean, it's so reckless for a member of the House Intelligence Committee. It's frightening to me that somebody like Joaquin Castro has access to classified information. But
how old is he? 31 now, maybe 32.
Well, it's his age has nothing to do with it. It's his intellectual capacity and
experience.
integrity.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the length the left will go to try and get back to the messaging they want everybody to focus on, the Russian collusion story, the cloud hanging over the Trump administration, all of those angles that they have used to advance their narrative. And they've got this Susan Rice firestorm that they can't put out, and no amount of Wolf Blitzering and Don Lemoning and Chris Matthewsing is going to make it go away until we get answers to the questions that were raised yesterday. Jimmy on the Kennedy, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Okay, we are working on our phone. Sorry about that, people. So we'll take a break and see if we can't line some people up on the phones, give them an opportunity to weigh in. Dan and Amy coming to you live from Big Monster Trucks in the West Loop, part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Today's going to be a yucky day. Bring your umbrella. Rain on and off throughout the day. A lot cooler, too. A high of 45 degrees. We're at 44 right now, so it's going to stay pretty much the same. Tonight, that rain is going to mix with some snow. Yes, spring snow. Who loves that? And tomorrow, we're going to have wind gusts of up to 50 miles per hour. Snow and rain mixed at times in the morning. And a high of 46 degrees. But just wait for it. Friday's going to be beautiful. Breezy in the morning. Otherwise sunny, warmer. A high of 54. Let's get into our Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. I mentioned earlier it's going to be a challenging commute, and it's very challenging on I-55. Inbound, we see delays, heavy ones from Lamont Road to past 83. There's a crash in the center lane, and delays kick in again on the inbound Stevenson at First Avenue. It is an hour and 6 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, 40 minutes from the Tri-State. Outbound 53 minutes to 3:55 after an earlier rollover crash at Harlem. Edens is 21 minutes, like Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. Kennedy, 24 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 21. The Eisenhower, 45 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 34. The Ryan is 27 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 30 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Bishop Ford, 37. Eastbound Adams Tollway jam from the Tri-State to the Kennedy. The Reagan Tollway a little heavy now from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Northwest Indiana's fine. I'm Jim Talamonte, the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Balance of Nature is celebrating its 20th anniversary by providing you the best offer they've ever given. 2 free months of fruits and veggies and free shipping. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
She's the global phenom who only becomes more and more phenomenal. Jackie Evancho is coming live. Friday, May 19th, the Genesee Theater in Waukegan. There's more at JackieEvancho.com. Get reserved seats at Ticketmaster.com and at the Genesee Theater box office. More information at GeneseeTheater.com. Don't miss Jackie Evancho live.
In business, risks and rewards come with every decision, like moving to the cloud with Office 365. While its benefits include anywhere access and lower costs, cyber threats and user errors can quickly wipe out data and the money you save. Barracuda Essentials for Office 365 provide an added layer of security and functionality for threat protection, email migration, data recovery, and quality of service. Move securely to Office 365. Visit barracuda.com/essentials to learn more. AM 560, The Answer.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy coming to you live from Big Monster Toys in Chicago's West Loop, part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour, and we're talking about Susan Rice and the lengths the left will go to continue to prop up their evidence-free allegations of Trump-Russian collusion. So we've given you a couple of examples. Joaquin Castro saying everybody's going to jail.
Yeah. With no evidence to back that up.
No.
It sounds good, right? It sounds, it's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For your Lakeview and Champaign socialist friends will be like, hey, did you hear? They're all going to jail. Joaquin Castro said so.
He's going to be impeached.
Chris Matthews said, the reason that Susan Rice is being targeted,
They're looking for a piñata.
Yeah.
They found one in Susan Rice. I do think
Notice it's always a female.
Just that's also true. No, that's also true.
That's the only reason.
Oh, my goodness. It does not matter what her gender is. It doesn't even matter if she was transgender. She was the NSA director. She was last in charge. Of course, it's her. Who cares about her gender?
Well,
Why even bringing that up is just it's bombastic.
Let me layer this into it and see if that changes your mind. This is David Korn from Mother Jones.
When Rand Paul gets out there and says she's abused this right, there is not an iota of evidence that she's abused anything. Calling her typhoid Mary, all we know now is that she did her job. Did she do something wrong? There is no information indicating that. So they are making her, basically they're defaming her without any reason to do so. Because she's a woman, maybe because she's a black woman, maybe because they didn't like her during Benghazi.
Yeah.
I mean...
Now, what about, you said a woman has nothing to do with it. What about the fact she's a black woman?
Let me process this. Yeah. She's an African-American woman. I mean, what year is this? Get over it. You cannot use that as an excuse anymore, that she's a woman or that she's black, or even worse, that she's a black woman.
David Korn, again, the David Korn, Don Lemon standard, it's defamatory if you don't have evidence. Well, so then these same individuals, by their own standard, have been defaming Donald Trump and Trump associates, Trump supporters, anything related to the Trump campaign, the Trump White House, for months and months without stop.
And if they're so worried about gender, they keep ripping on Kellyanne Conway. If they're so worried, we're picking on her maybe because she's a woman. Hypocrites.
So you think that's a fun?
Oh no, does it get worse?
That's a fun misdirection play by those claiming misdirection play. Noam Chomsky. Oh gosh.
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky, of course, the famed MIT linguistics professor. Communist, American hater.
MIT.
Yeah. Listen to what Noam Chomsky thinks is coming down the pike. If you really want to get it into the deep black helicopter talk.
Something has to be done to maintain control. The obvious technique is scapegoating. So blame it on immigrants, on Muslims, on somebody. But that can only go so far. The next step would be, as I said, an alleged terrorist attack, which is quite easy, in fact, almost normal, like Condoleezza Rice's mushroom clouds. That's easy to construct alleged attacks.
So do you understand what Chomsky is saying? He is saying that Donald Trump, when the jobs don't materialize that he promised,
right,
when the scapegoating, his words, of Muslim immigrants and other immigrants doesn't work to allow him to maintain power, then it's likely, easy, for him to stage a terrorist attack for the purpose of creating fear, for the purpose of maintaining power. This is one of the intellectual icons of the left, Noam Chomsky, suggesting that the President of the United States there's a possibility that he would stage a terrorist attack for the purpose of maintaining power.
And I heard the same argument from Patricia Arquette a few weeks ago.
Well, right.
Where she said that Donald Trump is going to stage a terrorist attack.
Well, it's an important point you make because you have
the two great minds. Right?
Man of letters, Noam Chomsky, MIT linguistics professor, the father of modern linguistics, according to some, and Patricia Arquette.
She's a good actress.
Oh, yeah.
She plays one role, just a whiny role.
Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky would have been great as the female lead in Boyhood, too. I grant you. But they're saying the exact same thing. By the way, Noam Chomsky, he references like Condoleezza Rice's mushroom clouds. He's referencing Condi Rice's famous 2003 statement about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and not wanting a mushroom, in terms of what do we know. We don't want a mushroom cloud to be the smoking gun. So he's essentially accusing the Bush administration and Condi Rice of staging or fabricating the whole war on terror, which, by the way, Chomsky's an opponent of. Categorically, terrorists are just friends we haven't made yet. That's the kind of the Noam Chomsky philosophy on these sorts of things. But it is rather breathtaking to weigh the intellectual heft of the left's contentions, whether it's coming from Noam Chomsky or Patricia Arquette, two names you rarely hear in the same sentence, but you do hear on The Morning Answer. Dan and Amy coming to you live from Big Monster Toys in the West Loop, part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour.
Talking about it's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Folks, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from one of our customers.
Just seamless. Just everything was great, even up to the closing. Like, I closed in my own home. Everything was so wonderful. I never had to use any gas in my car or anything. They sent me documents, that I could just sign and send back. It was absolutely a positive experience. My expense for the loan and my payments per month are much less than anybody else who I had talked to.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111, or go to townstone.com.
Listen to the Townstone Financial Show, Saturdays at 1 p.m. here on AM 560. Townstone Financial is an Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639.
Want to know the secret that all those house flipping gurus won't tell you? Flipping multi-unit properties is easier and more profitable than flipping single-family homes. With over 17 years of experience, we here at RE Mentor will show you the art of buying and selling multi-unit properties. Come spend the afternoon or evening with our team of experts, and we will show you how to put $10,000 to $30,000 in your pocket over the next 90 days. This 2-hour class will teach you the art of the multi-unit flip. You'll learn how to buy, hold, and sell multi-unit properties with no money down, no credit, and no risk. You risk nothing but have everything to gain. This intensive 2-hour real estate class is coming to the Chicago area soon. Call 1-800-805-1859 to secure your seat. This seminar is free to the first 30 people that call. Change your life now and learn the art of the multi-unit flip or long-term hold. Call 1-800-805-1859.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
How close are the Freedom Caucus and Trump to Obamacare repeal and replace 2.0? That's at 6:36.
And later, should we ban competitive eating contests? Yes, it's happened again. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 44 degrees, rain showers. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell calling for an end to debate on Judge Neil Gorsuch's nomination to the Supreme Court. The Kentucky Republican filed a cloture motion setting up a vote for Thursday. However, Democrats plan a filibuster. Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat, set the stage for that filibuster overnight.
The majority team in this chamber decided to steal a Supreme Court seat. Again, such a theft never, ever has happened in the history of our nation.
The Democrats staging an all-night protest. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson offering a short, terse response to North Korea's latest ballistic missile launch. Rex Tillerson's brief statement says, quote, "The U.S. has spoken enough about North Korea. We have no further comment," end quote. North Korea fired that missile toward Japan. It only flew about 37 miles. The UN Security Council will be briefed today on reports of an alleged chemical weapons attack in Syria. Basma Kodmadi, with the Syrian Opposition High Negotiations Committee, claims this was an attack on civilians and not on military targets.
All we know is that these civilians have died in the dozens, and this is an aircraft that is a Sukhoi, a Russian-made aircraft that bombed the area with chemical weapons.
A meeting of the 15-member councils has been requested by France and Britain. They blame Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Susan Rice says she would never play politics when it comes to national security.
Absolutely not for any political purposes, to spy, expose anything. I leaked nothing to nobody and never have and never would.
In an exclusive interview on MSNBC, the former Obama national security advisor did say it was possible that members of the Trump transition team were picked up in incidental surveillance. Big business deal being crafted this morning for your local bread maker. Panera getting a new owner. JAB Holdings says it's buying the St. Louis-based bakery and bread cafe chain for $7.5 billion. The deal will further expand the coffee holdings of European-based JAB, which also owns Krispy Kreme, Caribou Coffee, and Pete's Coffee and Tea. Election day yesterday in the Chicago area. Bolingbrook Mayor Roger Clark looks to be returning for another term after stirring up some minor controversy last year, hosting a September fundraising event for then presidential candidate Donald Trump. King County Forest District voters okay a $50 million tax hike to purchase more open space. There was one upset on the mayoral list of races in Lisle, where Chris Peacock unseated Mayor Joe Broda. In other news we're following this morning, a man facing murder charges in a shooting last week that killed 4 in Chicago's South Shore neighborhood. The Illinois Supreme Court will not be the one to decide if Illinois' contract talks between one union and the governor are at a standstill. And it's 59 years in prison for a Winnebago County man convicted of killing his wife back in 2012. Todd Smith was sentenced yesterday. Cubs over the Cardinals 2-1. Tigers over the White Sox on the south side 6-3. Avalanche rally to beat the Blackhawks, and the Knicks beat the Bulls, snapping a 4-game win streak. The news service of Westin Hotels and Resorts. At Westin Hotels and Resorts, they offer a menu of delicious superfoods. Why? It's not because they give you an actual superpower. It's so you can rise above travel's disruptions and stay in control of your well-being. Eat well with the Superfoods RX menu. Westin, let's rise. 6:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My water heater broke down.
Sorry, but your homeowner's insurance doesn't cover water heater breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my water heater?
I'm afraid not.
But his water heater could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus components of 20 other major home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-300-2127. Home insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Life happens. Have a plan. Get a home warranty from American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-300-2127. That's 1-800-300-2127. 1-800-300-2127.
Are you buying or selling a business or starting a business? Maybe you have legal problems with a business partner or employees, or are just drowning in new regulations. You need the support of a law firm that concentrates in a wide range of business law and tax matters. You need the corporate team at Kelleher & Buckley. Whether you're a local mom and pop shop, middle market business, or a large corporation or franchise, they provide cost-effective legal solutions to help your businesses thrive. The lawyers of Kelleher & Buckley focus on targeted legal advice tailored to meet the specific needs of your business. You deserve competent legal representation from a law firm maintaining a high level of knowledge about the ever-changing laws governing businesses. One that also includes accountants and tax specialists on board to provide your business bottom-line solutions. Kelleher & Buckley, LLC of North Barrington and Chicago is a legal solution provider that also includes estate planning, asset protection, life insurance planning, and litigation. Keep your business on track. Call 847-382-9130 or online at kelleherbuckley.com.
6:37 and a check of the roads. In the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Eden's inbound 29 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 21. The Kennedy 40 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 28. The Eisenhower now 55 minutes. Thorndale to the post office outbound 40. Northbound I-55 delay start at Weber. There's an hour and 19 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. There's a crash past 83 on the left shoulder now. It's 50 minutes from the Tri-State to the drive. Outbound 53 minutes to 3:55. Orion 27 minutes. 95th to downtown. I-57. 30 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop 437. Traffic and service of Staples. Filing your own taxes this year? Staples helps you be accountable with everything you need for tax season for less, with storage boxes and filing supplies to software like QuickBooks and TurboTax. Right now, get up to $10 off when you buy TurboTax. In-store only ends 4/15/17. Staples make more happen. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Increasingly windy this day. Periods of rain throughout the day. Cooler and a high near 43. Currently in Chicago, we have light rain and 44. Next news at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Airwaves. Check out the show that's all about making money in real estate every Sunday at noon on AM 560, The Answer.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We're at Big Monster Toys in the West Loop, one of the coolest workspaces I've ever had the privilege to experience. Big Monster Toys, part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour.
And there's 25 toy makers here. I mean, literally, and if you look at all their kiosks, they are toy makers. They are designing toys for the future.
I feel like I'm in Santa's little workshop.
I know. I feel like, yes, me too. And I met one of the little elves.
Yes.
that was making the toys. No, I'm just kidding. His name was Chris, and he's worked here for 20-plus years. And I said, well, what were your big creations? What have you done? And he's, talked about different Nerf products and competing with Nerf products with Mattel, and tried a Big Boom golf game for kids. Do you remember that?
No.
But it did okay, not great, but it was, it's all trial and error. And he said that boys are harder to pinpoint than girls. It's harder to create boy toys. That sounded really bad.
Yeah.
That
well, not for you, it
that
isn't.
Came out wrong. Can I take that back? But it's fascinating. We'll speak with the owner, Sam, at 7:35, But it's a really great atmosphere. I mean, what's not to love about this place? There's a floating train track with great self-designed cars there. We've got a little choo-choo train, which I tweeted out, a train car where they turn that into their kitchen, and then a big giraffe. I mean, that's all the stuff that you could ever want.
Yeah, and so that segues perfectly to our next discussion for people that make toys, play with toys. Lonely. Competitive eaters.
Lonely. Yeah, people. Food should not be used as, let's say, a competitive eating tool or a toy, because it has happened again, Dan. And I know you poo-pooed me yesterday. I came into the station. I said, Dan, we've got to do this story. There's a 20-year-old college student at Sacred Heart University. It's in New York. And she was part of the sorority event where they tried to shove as many pancakes down their throat in a period of 2 minutes. So she was on her 5th pancake, and she started choking, and she ended up dying. And because when you shove all that food down your mouth, even the most experienced nurses and paramedics, they couldn't get the food that was lodged into her throat out. They had 2 nurses on site. They tried for 20 minutes to do the Heimlich maneuver. They couldn't get the pancake out, and she eventually died.
Did she try a little Aunt Jemima on that?
No, this is a very serious story. You know why, too? Because
That's
dad...
why you got to have it properly buttered. You got to do the butter in between the flapjacks.
Oh, okay. So it was for a fundraiser, and if she shoved down 5 pancakes in 2 minutes, the kiddies would have gotten some money. But the sad part is her dad died in the September 11th attacks. He was a Port Authority of New York and went into the... Well, I'm just saying that their family has suffered tragedy before, but this is ridiculous because this could have been prevented. You don't use food as a competition. I mean, really.
Well, what are you talking about? You're going to
ban. I want there to be a law to ban competitive eating. No, only professionals should be doing it. And what's our guy's name in what's his
Kobayashi?
name? Kobayashi, yeah. I mean, leave it to the professionals. Don't have people who don't know what they're doing trying to shove food down their throat.
Well, how do you become a professional?
Well, you take classes. You learn how to do it. You have to
take
learn how to
classes.
properly dip the food in the water to moisten it up before you shove it down your throat.
What's the old saying about how do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Practice. Right. Practice. So you could practice.
So you want to establish a professional association for competitive eaters that will provide strict guidelines for who will be allowed to competitively eat and who will not.
Well, because there's another case over the weekend. This guy, poor thing, 42-year-old Travis Maloff, he's from Denver, and he went to the Voodoo Donut place on Saturday night, Saturday night, Sunday morning. The voodoo that you do. And guess what his challenge was? Okay, I'm sure you
something to do with donuts.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to eat a half-pound donut in 80 seconds or less. And his prize was to get the donut for free then. So, I mean, you do these competitive eating contests for bragging rights and to...
Oh, sure.
Well, yeah.
It impresses the ladies.
And the lady was with him. Here's Julia.
It could just happen to any one of us.
Sure.
We're just hanging out with friends.
He was a victim of circumstance.
Sure, he was.
So, like, when they brought over this huge donut, they're like, guys, give him a round of applause. He's going to eat this thing. So we're all kind of like, okay.
It could happen to any one of us. It's like he went down in a plane. He chose to try and eat a donut in 80 seconds. He's an innocent bystander.
I know.
When donuts attack.
Okay, well, Voodoo
the
Donuts.
Travis Malouf story.
Voodoo Donuts has been doing this for years, so they have people come in, and it's a big challenge, and people, it's it's competitive eating.
Apparently,
What's
it's
not
a big
to love?
challenge.
But the thing is here, another case where he was shoving the food down so much that he got it stuck that nobody could get, even trying to do the Heimlich, they couldn't get the food out of his pipe.
It was clear that nobody was trained,
Oh, yeah.
and they were just reacting, which I feel like is like you got to do something. I think.
And they did try to do something, and then they performed CPR for 20 minutes, and that's when they knew that their friend Travis was not going to make it.
I can't leave without seeing him stand up, Like, it's just food. He's going to stand back up, and we'll say, oh, that was really scary, and go on with our day. But, yeah, once they got the tape out, then it was like, and after 20 minutes of them doing chest compressions, we just knew, you can't not have oxygen for that long. That was really horrible.
How does she survive without oxygen for that long?
Stop it.
That's so eating that donut in 80 seconds over at
a half-pound donut.
Voodoo Donut. That's like the Dakar Rally. I mean, this
It's
is a
just-
life or death play.
Well, I
this
think
is
this-
walking across a tightrope between the Twin Towers.
2 times over the weekend, people died from competitive eating contests. Leave it to the professionals. Don't do it. And Voodoo Donuts, by the way, released a statement saying that they're saddened by what happened.
Well, of course.
And they're cooperating with police because that tape she's talking about is the caution tape that they put around the restaurant, which, by the way, Voodoo Donuts is still closed.
Well,
because of this tragic
I know.
competitive eating contest.
So the big question is, did he end up getting the donut for free?
You know what? He did not have to pay for it. You
So-
know why? Because he couldn't pay for it because he was dead.
So what you're saying is he won.
Seriously. I'm being serious about it. I can't stand when people abuse food and just shove it in their mouth. You got to breathe in between bites. So I tell, Peyton, because he just shoves food in his mouth, like, take a break,